Monday to you all, folks. Hope everybody had a great weekend. I know it was, for the most part, beautiful. I know I enjoyed myself, and I hope you all did as well. Today, I have a four wheeler that we are. I keep saying we. I know you know we. It's me. Me. Anyway, sometimes my son helps me, but he's in school. So today I have a Suzuki LTZ four wheeler that is here, having some performance work done to it. And I figured while I have this here, one of the things we are, there I go again, one of the things I am doing to it is it has an exhaust upgrade on it, it has a performance exhaust on it from, I want to say DG, I believe. Maybe wrong with that. Might be a different company. Anyway, nevertheless, when you do sometimes when you do performance exhaust upgrades, the manufacturer requires that you go into the carburetor and change the jets so that it will perform at optimal level with the new exhaust. So that's what we have going on today. I have the carburetor off, although there's nothing wrong with this carburetor. It's not dirty. I know that it's clean. The bike ran fine, but I figured because I have it off, because I have to go into it, because I have to change jets, this would be a great opportunity to make a video for those who have four-wheelers who may be experiencing carburetor related issues, such as it won't run until you pull the choke, may not run at all, have ran, which is a big culprit, have ran gas with ethanol in it. I have so many people that come through here and they tell me, they swear up and down they do not run ethanol gas in their equipment, whether it be four-wheeler, dirt bike, chainsaw, whatever. The fact of the matter is the carburetors never, ever tell a lie. As soon as I get into the carburetor and I start looking at different things like the bottom of the bowl and the jets and the condition of the overall condition of the carburetor, and I see jelly in it and amongst other issues that ethanol gas is so kind to deliver, I just start shaking my head because I know maybe they didn't, but somebody did. So nevertheless, turn it around here. I'm going to go through the process of taking this carburetor apart for those who want to know how to do it. If you don't, go ahead and skip past this video, scroll on something else, and carry on about your day. It's perfectly fine. But for those who want to know what to do in the event of their carburetor is giving them problems, let's get into it. Alrighty, so I'm going to be doing this with one hand holding the camera and the other hand attempting to take this apart. So, first of all, this is going to be kind of slow, but remove the 4 screws. Now again, there's 2 clamps on the bike, most all bikes, that hold the intake boot on, and hang on guys, and the air breather boot. Undo those clamps. Sometimes you have to remove the air box, sometimes you don't. But either way, wiggle it out. There's a throttle cable hooked to the side. Undo your throttle cable and take it out. Undo your gas line as well. Now, if you have a petcock on there that does not have the ability to shut the fuel off altogether, you can get a pair of vice grips. Don't fall. Be nice. You can get a pair of vice grips, needle nose vice grips, and clamp off the fuel line. Or you can, or get fuel line crimpers. They make them too. Or you could just drain all the gas out and save it, put it back in if it's clean, or just discard of it. Alright, so when you get into a carburetor, this is what you're going to see. Okay, you're going to have this little strainer here. Some of them do, some of them don't. Alright, take that off. Alrighty. And after that, there's going to be some of these have, I know I'm going to have to put it down for this. Hold on just a second, guys. Some of these don't have this screw. Some of these will have two posts. The float will be up here with a pin in it. Be very careful taking that pin out. Some of these carburetors will have a arrow pointing in the direction of which the pin is to be knocked out. Take a small punch and tap on it. Do not go willy-nilly, because if you tap on those posts that are here on some models and some carburetors and you go crazy on it, you will either break off the very tip of it or you'll break it off at the bottom here. Ask me how I know. Okay, so lift this float out. Alright, what I like to inspect, again, this is one that I know is good, but if it was not, this is what I would be doing. I would be inspecting the rubber nipple. Alright, make sure that the rubber nipple on this stopper is good. Alright, make sure it's not dry rotted, still pliable, not hard. If it's not pliable, if you can't kind of move it around at the very tip, then this needs to be replaced. Okay, now I'm going to go over this because so many people will repair everything in this carburetor. They'll clean the jets. They get a carburetor rebuild kit and it comes with one of these. All right, they put everything in, they put their carburetor back on their bike, and next thing you know, you're still leaking fuel out of it. All right, here's what you need to keep in mind if you have a carburetor that has the ability, let me get a little screwdriver, to take this off. Okay, where that fuel needle comes in here and seats into here, into this hole. Some of these, like this one here, most of these that are removable will have a screw on the side to help hold it down. Okay, or it doesn't help, it does, it holds it down. And what happens is there's an O-ring that is on this fuel needle valve seat. Okay, and that O-ring inside here dry rots, and not only does it sometimes allow fuel past your fuel needle when these go bad, but when those O-rings go bad on this, fuel will go right by there, leak into the bowl, fill it up, and will leak out your overflow. So if you have a carburetor that you see has a screw here that holds this on, you're going to want to also pull this off and investigate whether that O-ring on that is good. If it's not, you're going to need to replace it. Don't ask me why, but just about all of the carburetor rebuild kits that come, I do not understand why they will not include that, but mine 9 times out of 10 they do not. Alright, moving on. After that, I'm going to go ahead and pull the jet that will give you problems, without a shadow of a doubt, will give you problems if you are having to run your bike with the choke on. And that is this little guy right here. Sometimes these stick out like this. Sometimes this pilot jet, that's what it's called, the pilot jet, is down in a tube just like this. Okay, I may have to put the camera down again. If I do, I apologize. Hold on. Alright, this guy right here is going to be the dude that is going to be your culprit if you have to run. I don't care if it's your four-wheeler, your dirt bike, your lawnmower, I don't care what it is. If you have to run with a choke on, or half choke, or this, that, and other, this is probably the problem. The reason for it is 2 reasons. One, the holes on the side of this are really small. So are the other ones, but the hole in the middle of this jet is extremely small. So what you can do when these are clogged up is, I know some people are going to say, he said that's not, you shouldn't do that. It'll change the diameter of the jet. It'll scratch it up. It'll do this. It'll do that. Listen, I've cleaned. Oh my dear Jesus, I've cleaned more of these than I can remember or want to remember, and I've never had any problems. You got to do what you got to do. There's only two ways you're going to get this clean. You can try to blow air in it, but when these are really, really clogged up, air ain't going to do a dag-blame thing, okay? I can promise you that. You can let this sit in carburetor cleaner. What was that Carb can or whatever it's called, the can that's got the carburetor cleaner in a little bucket that you drop everything in. Like, you could try everything you want to try. Hopefully it'll work for you, but I can guarantee you most of the time it will not. So what are you going to have to do, Asa? Well, this is what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to find you a wire, okay, that you can stick down into this hole at the top, run it out the bottom, work it back and forth until you clean that passageway out. Alright, until you clean that passageway out, it's not going to work. I can promise you. Now what I do is I go to my wire wheel. I have one that's old that I don't use anymore. I take some pliers. I yank out one of the wires on the wire wheel, straighten it out. That's what I use. Alright. This one's fine. Again, this carburetor is good to go. So I'm probably going to put the phone down again to take these. Oh, that one came out. This is the main jet. You have two. One here and one here. Alright, set that aside. Yes, I've already been into this carburetor, that's why these are just very loose. This is called an emulsion tube. Alright, also inspect these. These have little holes in the side of them. Again, take your little wire, put through there, clean those holes out. Rather large, so normally if you got something in there that's clogging that up, then that's one dirty carburetor. So I'm try to take this other main jet. Hold on with me. Don't go nowhere. Alrighty, take this main jet out. Okay, it looks good, as it should. One more. Now, on some carburetors, you will see on the intake side, you'll have, like there's one right there, these little itty bitty tiny jets as well. They all play an important role in making your bike or four-wheeler or whatever run as it should. You can remove these, or you can just stick a little piece of wire in there if you don't want to chance damaging these, because these are very, very prone to being damaged. Sometimes they're in there very tight, and when they're that little, it's not going to take much for a screwdriver to destroy the head of it. You won't be able to get it out. But the last thing I do, I'm not going to do it with this one because this carburetor is set and tuned where it needs to be, and I don't want to change that unless I have to during the tuning process later on with this customer. When I put after I put the larger jets in this, I may have to change this, and that is your air fuel screw mixture screw right here. Alright, you take this all the way out. Now what you can do, again, I'm not going to do it. A lot of people don't want to mess with this because they're scared about messing something up. Alright, take you a little screwdriver, put it in there, okay? Screw it all the way in until it stops. Now when it stops, don't try to sit there and keep going with it and jam it all the way down, because this thing has got a very sharp needle at the bottom of it and you will damage it. Alright, once you damage it, it's a done deal. You're going to have to replace it. What you could do is take a screwdriver, put it in here, and turn it half turns at a time, okay, until you feel it go all the way down and seat at the bottom. So just for demonstration purposes, you could go 1/2, 1/2, 2, and then say that's all it took for it to bottom out. Alright, that way you know, once you know that it's 2 turns in, fully closed, go ahead and take it all the way out. Alright, write it down somewhere that you had to turn it 2 turns in. From where it was at when you first started, you had to turn it 2 turns, 2 complete revolutions to get it to bottom out. That way when you go to reinstall this, reinstall it, screw it all the way down, then back it out 2 turns. So in other words, we have it all the way in, go 1/2 out, 1, 1/2 out, 2. You will be just about exactly where you started from before. Alright? Now when you remove this, there's going to be 3 things that you need to recover out of here. This is going to have a tiny spring on it. It's also going to have a really, really small washer on the bottom of this, followed by a tiny, tiny O-ring. Okay. When you take this out, the spring normally comes out. The little tiny washer and the O-ring never ever comes out. So what you're going to have to do is tip it upside down, get this needle out, get the spring out, and then take your, like a little pick or something, and as delicately as you possibly can. The washer is pretty easy. Now the rubber O-ring that's in here, it takes some finagling, it takes some patience, it takes some time, but eventually you will get it out. If you damage it, that is one thing that does come with a new carburetor rebuild kit. So if you damage it, the kits come with the spring, they come with the little tiny washer, the little tiny O-ring, and they also come with your air fuel screw mixture needle as well. So if you damage it and you are not intending to use a carburetor repair kit, you just want to give a cleaning and put it back on and see what you get, and you damage that, well, you're getting the kit anyway. So again, I'm not going to remove this one because it's where it needs to be, and I don't know if I'm going to have to move it, and if I don't, great, but if I do, I do. Now, to the last part of a carburetor we're going to look at, and I'm probably going to have to put the phone down again. I do apologize. Yep, hang on just a second. Is the top of this carburetor has got a rubber diaphragm, and there's FedEx. FedEx has the parts for this that we are looking for. And I know I'm probably going to make the spring go pew because I can't hold it. There it goes. I caught it. Alright, so the spring comes out. Your diaphragm and your slider comes out as well, along with your needle. Alright, what you want to inspect on this is to make sure that this diaphragm is not cracked, damaged, or destroyed in any way. If it has cracks in it, dry rotted in it, it will not run right. So again, another replaceable part, but if this is damaged, you're going to need to replace it. Hey.